are here at another episode of Dawood Talks, and I am so over the moon to have one of my best friends in the world come and join us today, Amin Gulgee, who is this multi-talented artist, sculptor, and curator of many shows and exhibitions globally, and as well as the curator of the first Karachi Biennale, and so many more things. His sculptures even at the United Nations in New York, and he is the pride of Pakistan, and someone who all of us are in awe of. So we're here and we're going to have a very special chat, a no-holds conversation on everything about what's going on in our lives, as well as the COVID-19 situation and the holistic larger meanings of that. So we will be prepared for a conversation to end all conversations. And on that note, I invite Amin to come join me in the studio.
Hi, Uzra. How wonderful to see you.
It is so wonderful to see you too. But before we get into our questions, I am in a state of shock because it's my first time seeing you in your eye banker look. Look at that.
I just thought that 1% is getting so very rich during this time. So it's a homage to them.
I can totally understand that thinking. It's just that I'm still in a state of shock because everyone knows that I'm formal. But when you said you were going to bring it, you said prepare for me to bring it on Monday. And I was
I'm
like,
in drag.
okay, you know, he'll be having some amazing jewelry and some amazing regalia. And you come as an eye banker. And I feel like I'm in my asset management talks rather than a personal setting. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you.
And I believe that's a style of sophisticated pink tie as well.
Red. It's red.
Okay.
It's red. It's
it matches our banners. Okay. Yes, because secretly, and not that secretly, Amin's actually quite conservative. Okay. And I'm not joking there. So thank you so much for being on Dawood Talks. We love having you here and welcome you. And
No, it's a pleasure.
No, absolutely. And what we want to know first is, why don't you talk a little bit about you in terms of your story, your passions, and your path, and then I'll get into more deep dive questions on that. But
Okay,
just
so
holistically
ask me a
first.
specific question, and then we
Okay,
start.
so what age were you? Do you remember the exact moment when you saw your first piece of art?
Well, I mean, Uzra, as you know, my parents didn't want me to be an artist. They were super liberal with me. I didn't want to be an artist. I studied economics at Yale. And then I did another major in art history, which sort of changed the course of my life. And I specialized in Mughal gardens, and I won a prize for my thesis, and it totally corrupted me.
Okay, but Amin, corruption is corruption, and falling in love is falling in love.
I think they're both one and the same.
So we have called today's talk Love, Life, and Other Disasters. So
in the time of cholera.
Okay, brilliant. Let's go on to our amazing beginnings of you, because you went to economics major choice at Yale.
Yes,
First of all,
because
why
I'm
did
South
you go,
Asian.
First of all,
I'm a
why
man,
did you go,
I'm South Asian, I'm the good South Asian boy. Also, my parents paid for my education. I felt like I should major in something that sounds practical.
Okay, so you're sitting there becoming a suitable boy in the actual real
Inshallah.
A Suitable Boy, right? Remember that book, that bestseller? So you went to Yale, you did economics, and you were prepared to dress
No, I
like
got
this.
corrupted, remember? I did this French-American girl, Dominique Malaquet, took me to my first art history class, and it kind of changed my life. I mean, I enjoyed it so much more than I enjoyed economics, and I started taking one class after another, and soon I had a major in it.
Okay, so we are, absolutely wondering what it was like for you when you started your first day at economics. Were you
horrible? I hated it. I mean, thank God my roommate, Paulo Lopez, loved economics and got me through the major. I found it absolutely boring. I remember going to corporate strategy, which was only for people who are econ majors. senior year, and this girl says, "Excuse me, this is only for econ majors." I'm an econ major.
Okay. And when you're
Hmm.
sitting there and this girl is like, you're an econ major, did you feel inauthentic or did you feel now I learn how to make
No,
money?
I felt like, why am I here? But I got an A in it.
Of course, you got an A in economics. Now, we are
I'm South
absolutely.
Asian.
Okay, so we are absolutely in awe of how you get these A's, okay? So you're
It's
sitting
not
here.
that difficult.
No, 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 but you're in
Even a
economics
dumbass like me
instead
can
of
do
art.
it.
You are absolutely in this world of economics instead of art. And you're sitting there saying, I'm not me, and yet you go and you
No, no, no.
slay
I never
them.
said that, Ultra. I was exactly myself. It
Even
was
then,
them, they
even
were
in
the ones who were
economics.
surprised. Oh, yeah. I don't change. I cannot change. That's something I realized when I was 17 years old. Is this is the way it is. You know, I'm pretty much a given.
Okay, so many of us, someone like me, has been on a journey of self discovery, finding
Right.
more and more my way to myself and shedding layers, being more and more authentic at each moment. And now I'm really good. But you mean that you came out of the womb as authentic as it is and
I wouldn't.
never struggled with that?
Well, some people just can't help it, Uzra. I have no senses on me and never have. Uh, so it is what it is.
No, but it's beautiful and it's
Is
lucky
it?
and I'm envious
No,
of
it's
it.
not.
Of course it is. Because the whole goal, I believe, of life is to be yourself.
No.
Yes, you know that. You know how hard I fight to be myself. I mean, now I'm so supported in being like true and authentic to myself. But
Uzra, I remember the first time I met you. It was with your father, and I saw the light in your eyes, and I saw the power in your soul. And I thought, this woman is going to do things. And you have done many a thing, Uzra Dawood,
yes, but I
on your
know.
own,
Yes, I
aside from your family legacy, and aside from all the advantages and privilege that you have. You've used your privilege for good things, Uzra.
No, thank you. You always say and very earnestly the most beautiful things. But I have to say,
I'm
Amin,
not trying to be nice here.
no, I know you're
I'm
never
not
nice.
nice.
I know that.
Ask
I know
anybody.
that. I
Ask
know
Sarah
that.
Paganwala, who's sitting in front of me.
I
I'm
know.
not nice.
Hi, Sarah, too. But Amin, the thing is that I remember that moment we met too, and you always talk about that energetic exchange, and you knew we'd be friends. And it was
Yes,
really like talk about how relationships, like how you've talked to me a lot about even love or relationship being a gift
and
in life,
sex.
many things. But you've always talked about relationships being a gift from God, and that's
Yeah,
one thing.
especially for me, Uzra John, especially for me. I've got a bit of Asperger in me. I find the human race extremely difficult. I mean, I like the realm of books. The books are easier. Books are so much easier. Other people's stories are wonderful to fall into. These waves, these tales, these narratives, these worlds that you can be a part of. Sometimes human beings are difficult for me. So for me to interact with and feel comfortable with, I need an energy, male or female. I need a certain energy. And then I'm lucky. The people who come into my life stay in my life.
That's very beautiful and powerful, and I know I've been very blessed to have you in my life and
Mm.
stay in my life. And as an English lit major, who is
See,
obviously
you were wise.
you I did economics too. Both of us did economics. I
Oh, you
did double.
poor girl.
I just am a nerd,
You
and I know
poor
secretly you are too.
baby.
But I meant that I always dreamed of how beautiful I wanted my library to be and so forth. And you know that books has been a solace for me as well as an amazing eye opener. But for you, I want to deep dive into that a bit more because when this lockdown happened, when COVID happened, is the first thing you did is read Albert Camus' The Plague.
Yes, I thought
And
it was an appropriate book.
of course it was apropos.
Let's get the French perspective.
Yes, and also it was trendy to read The Plague at
Oh,
that moment.
look, Uzra, I'm so beyond trends. I mean, are you kidding me? I would never know what trendy is. I'm lost in my own Gaga land.
Okay, well, I did one of my thesis on Albert Camus, but L'étranger, the stranger, the outsider.
Right.
And when you're like, I'm reading The Plague, and it was your first introduction to Camus, I want to know that were you watching the YouTube videos about COVID? Were you
No,
reading
no.
the experts? Your first instinct was to read Camus.
Yes.
And so, can you talk about where was it solace for you reading, or was it just
Reading for me is always solace. It's a way for me to escape, Uzra. And it always been. I mean, as in high school, I mean, my idea of a weekend was going to a library and checking out books. And then it would be wonderful. I'd have this little attic room, and for 2 days, my parents were uber social. They kept on being uber social till they died. And I was like, yay, myself alone. Bye all. Love you, but
so? I was, a totally very pampered child. So my dad would take me to the bookstore every week and says, "Whatever you want to buy, you can buy."
yeah, I mean,
And then I spent the rest of my life living at the library.
yeah.
But my fondest
Librarians
childhood
love me.
No, but I literally, my childhood memories was reading. And I know
Yeah.
yours were too, but also yours were alone. And our parents were such good friends and totally very social. And
Yes.
what was it like growing up with such social parents?
Fantastic. It was a circus. You never knew. You'd come home from school and there'd be something else happening. This huge parade of people coming in and out of your house. And then at night they would be entertaining and we would be brought down for the, 10 minutes of saying, hello, uncle, hello, auntie, and be brushed away, which was lovely. And then you'd go up and I'd go back to my books.
But I mean, you never had to sing that song from Sound of Music. When you were so long.
Honey, I don't sing. I do when I'm happy, out of tune and joyous.
No, for sure. But when you're growing up and your parents, and are obviously such famous parents as you have,
Right.
iconic, talented. Your father was beyond gifted, world famous. He was sketching presidents and so forth. And your mother was the quintessential powerhouse.
Oh, she was.
And the two
She's a
of them-
tiger.
Yes.
No, it's amazing when I look at men who don't marry strong women. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I mean, the only woman that's worth a while is a strong woman who's independent, powerful, intelligent. I mean, those are the kind of eggs you have to run after.
And well, I couldn't agree more with you, but
No,
wanna
I mean, if you're going to
also-
procreate, it takes the egg and the sperm, girl. It's
Yes.
both your gene pools coming together.
Yes, no, that's an intelligent insight into that and very accurate. But I want to talk about the fact that they were also madly in love. They had a very
Well, they were
glamorous-
passionate. Yes,
but
they
had a
were. They
glamorous
were.
love story. They married in Paris, and talk about what it was like surrounded by their love too, for both each other and of course for
Well,
you.
it was intense because they were truly, really interested in each other. They had a real partnership. I mean, it kind of puts my faith back into heterosexuality because they were so bonded. And because they were so bonded, they fought all the time and they communicated constantly. So it's a very, very dramatic household to grow in.
So that fire, that passion, that circus, that revolving door, you never knew who would show up.
Right.
It could even be a very prestigious client for having their portrait done. Anything.
Right.
There was a whole. You could be as easily seeing a president as a high society woman as an interesting.
But one thing, Usra, my father always said to me, and he would always say these wonderfully profound things. He said, Beta, it doesn't matter whether they're a king or, have no money. Everybody must be treated exactly the same way.
So I grew up with the same ideology as and my father always said, the person who greets you at the elevator versus the one in the presidential C-suite.
Yeah,
They all
exactly.
have equal right to being treated, and I feel that part of you is one of the things I most really love and
No,
respect.
I'm just scared of people in period. I don't care who they are. Like,
So
shock, shock, horror, horror.
I'm gonna pick up on the word scared, because to me you're one of the most courageous, bravest, authentic people I know, and you often use that in a teasing way that you're scared. What does it mean to you when you say a statement like that?
You know, when you're scared of everything, it makes life pretty easy. You know, when you're just terrified, because then nothing is scary.
Because everything's scary, nothing's
Yes,
scary.
yes. Does that make any sense?
Of course it does, because we're all the whole and all nothing at the same time.
Yes.
So it just empowers that in its own through its own lens.
Yeah.
I mean, you meditate.
Every day. I've been doing it since I've been 13. I started, my aunt lived in Chicago, and I remember being on the floor of a bedroom I was sharing with somebody, and then I started meditating, and I've done it ever since then, every day.
So, what led you to it? Was it something?
I don't know what led me to it. I have absolutely zero. No, 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 no. I don't take. I don't. I'm pretty. The only people I really listened to were my parents. I mean, like, no, no, no. It just started. I don't know from where. From the ether.
And many things in your life start from the ether.
I guess they do. You could describe my life as one big glitch.
A big bang over and over, and the little mini bangs. So when you meditate, do you empty your mind? Do you see vision?
You try to, Uzra. You try to, Uzra. The mind is a very powerful thing, and it always tries to intrude. But that's the peace and beauty of it, that you create a separate space, for, you know, an in-between space for yourself for a little bit.
And when you enter that space, what does that space mean to you?
You don't know. You just need it. It's something you need, or at least I need.
It's something you need, and it nourishes you, or it helps you make decisions, or
No, it's not a one by one. No, it's not like there's nothing you can put into words. It's a need for me. It's a desire. It's like my work process. It's a desire. You know, you just need to do it.
And one of the places that you love to meditate is your stunning rooftop.
Yes, but I can do it in a car. I've done it on planes. I've done it in cafes in Paris. I mean, I've done it all over the place. I can just like blank out.
So you find it easy to quickly go into meditation?
No, I can't. I mean, I'm an old man, Uzra. I'm older than any person you can possibly ever meet. So yeah, by now I can just like click.
And wherever you are, and how long do you normally meditate for on average?
It depends, 10 minutes onwards.
And for those of you watching who struggle with meditation, because I've struggled for years with meditation, Amin is one person who gave me great advice, because I'm a runner, and when I run, I go into this
Zone.
You go into the state, and
Right.
I'm just fully in my zone. And Amin had told me, forget all the putting the candle there and having rituals. You're experiencing that, because I get a lot of epiphanies, a lot of
Yes.
inner voice and God statements while I run. And you had always told me that that's my form of meditation.
Yes,
I
it
found-
is.
And
Yes,
I
it is,
found that
Isra.
very wise, and I found that very insightful on your end, because we can like you had such an easy journey to your meditation. It was like you were called to it. Whereas for me,
I kind of fell into it. Like I fall into anything in my life. Uzra, I really did not want to be an artist. That's why I did econ for 4 years. I mean, my plan was never to go back to Pakistan, not to be an artist, and live in America. That was the plan.
And you're clearly living that plan.
Yeah, that's why I stopped making plans, Uzra.
Well, it was hard because you look so great in this eye banking outfit.
Don't I? Like I said, I'm in drag for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I'm just amazed you even owned because
Sweetie, what
I
kind of
know
South
you're super
Asian man do you
polished
think
and you
I
win awards
am?
all over the world, but I've seen you dressed in so many like stunning ways.
Usually, when you see me, Uzra, I'm in a dirty t-shirt and very smelly sweatpants.
Yes, but I've also seen you dressed to the nines for the awards. I've seen you be
That's for
polished.
you, my
I know you
lady.
do a lot of dressing up for me, and it was so funny when you said, I will bring it on Monday, because you have. So I want to talk about your rooftop. Even though
Yes,
you can meditate anywhere, you have one of the most beautiful rooftops in the world. And for
yes.
years, you've
Thank
told
you.
me that I have to do my rooftop up, and I will one day when the right moment comes. But talk about the journey to yours, because it's such a beautiful, peaceful, open space, and yet it's so you. And
Yeah,
it's
well,
so
wherever I've lived, I mean, when me and John first moved back to Pakistan after Yale, John was with me at Yale, and then one day I said, "Let's go to Pakistan," and he thought we were coming for 3 months. This was in the '90s, and I wasn't thinking, as always, and we used this as a home base. And my parents gave us the roof, our KDA roof, and I did a mosaic up there. And ever since then, I've always marked my places by mosaic. And when we started living together in Clifton, there was a roof, and the whole idea was one day I would take over the roof. And so, one day I took like a year out of my life and devoted it to the roof and created the space, which is both public and private. And down below, I have a gallery space. Again, this is John and my idea that we'd open up the space, not just to my own work. It's called the Amin Gulgee Gallery. So primarily I show my sculpture downstairs. But then once a year, we open it up for experimental shows, which are usually accompanied by documents, by catalogs. And since it's a non-commercial space, it's open to experimentation and fresh ideas.
Well, I know that in addition to your own art, you have become such a critical force in building a community and working with a community of artists. Obviously, many people build it together, but whether it was curating the Karachi Biennale or these various shows you do, exhibitions, even during lockdown, even pre-lockdown, you have these amazing, amazing global and now globally virtual shows that you put together. Can you talk about that part
Sure. I
of
mean, the quarantine has been an incredible time for me, a really productive time. It started with Lal Jadoo, which me and Sarah Paganwala co-curated. And it was on March 15th, the Ides of March. It was a show of about 65 works of performance in this wonderful old space owned by the Paganwalas, a building on II Chandriga Road, semi-abandoned and very David Lynch. And you had to the idea was you meander through the rooms and the staircases and through the maze of space and experience the show. Hello, can you hear me still?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was supposed to be very experiential, where you could see, smell, taste, touch all these works. And unfortunately, because of COVID, it was the first time in my life where I said, please don't come to the show. And we had it only viewed through live feed. And then the second show sort of grew out of that. And again, it was me, Sarah, and Adam Fahim Majid. We all three curated a show called The Trojan Donkey, which is only performance on the net. It was April 25th at the height of the lockdown. We asked 85 artists from across the world to create performance works that we put forth on April 25th. And you can still view it on our site. In fact, we're going to have a webinar shortly next Saturday, and I hope your viewers can join us there. It's a fantastic panelist of 7 people, both from the North and the South. These people are just incredible with incredible points of view, and I think they should be heard. And then, of course, then me and Sarah did another show, and this time we wanted it real. We wanted it physical, well, physical as we can be, given the disease that surrounds us. So we did a show called If These Walls Could Talk. And it was in the Village restaurant, which is an iconic restaurant owned by the Beg Mohammeds, and right at the heart of the city in Karachi. And this restaurant was very important in the 70s. And we had videos, 34 works projected onto the wall of the Village restaurant, and they were all silent videos. And it was fantastic because these videos could be seen by the city at large. And people came in the cars, so they were all socially distanced. And there was, everybody stayed within the cars and they drove away. Uzra, you're muted.
Yeah, no,
I want to hear your voice. I
listen
don't want to
to
hear
you.
me.
No, I want to hear you.
Oh, God.
No.
No.
This lockdown and this quarantine in such a powerful way to be more productive. Plus these catalogs that you're trying to get me to do for.
It's important, Uzra. Look, you know why, Uzra? Because when we were doing this book on the 1970s, and me, Nilofer, co-curated the show. Nilofer Farouk co-curated the show in the 70s. And then we put out a book that John, me, and Nilofer edited together on the 1970s, informal cultural history. And when we were looking at records, there were so few records to be found. So that's one thing I want to leave behind. I want to leave these documents behind. And it's so wonderful in the art scene. It's not just me, but people are cataloging. It's so important for future generations. If they do want to study what happened in Pakistan at this time, they have resource materials to access. And that's really important. We have to write our own history.
Of course, the person who writes the history is defining the history.
Exactly. Don't you think it's about time we, the colonial servants, slaves, write and push forth our point of view?
So while you're intellectually completely correct on that point, the reality is it's a lot of hard work.
It is. It's a pain in the ass.
Yes. And so one thing I think that people should know about, one of the Amin's secrets, is how neurotic, and I am.
You're pushing me out of the closet, Uzra.
Yes. There was a time in our life where we met every Friday, and it had to be at the exact time,
yes,
the exact amount of time,
and then we talked about everything, Uzra, if you remember. And you said the most wonderful thing to me. I said, Uzra, two of these most important men in my life are not there anymore. My anchors have gone. And you said, then Amin, you will sail. And that was so wonderful, Uzra. Those are wonderful times we had together.
They are beautiful, beautiful moments from my heart. But I wanted to let everybody know that you are a secret closet neurotic perfectionist. And
I'm just like you.
And not just because you're dressed eye-ranking today, but there is this genuine, not only incredible work ethic, but also polish and perfection and excellence.
But you know what I'm lucky with? The people I work with, like Sarah Paganwala, whoever comes across my life, also have that in them. They're real believers. I tend to find believers. And these days, everybody I find is young. I hate young people, but for some reason, I tend to be working with them.
Well, I think it adds so much to your work with the chemistry and the leverage of other brilliant minds. And of course, Sarah, Adam, and all are. We have amazing compliments coming through from Bisma, talking about how gorgeous your rooftop is.
Oh,
Rehan,
thank you, Bisma.
Yep, Rehan talking about how brilliant your mind is.
Oh, thank you. What about my body?
If you want to stand and pose and twirl, we will definitely welcome that. We have Vanessa complimenting the not overuse of privilege. Someone else complimenting on your reading. Nadia is talking about how brilliant an artist you are.
Oh, thank you.
But
Uzra, my work really means everything to me, and everything is interconnected. Curating, performance, object making. Like I did these shows in Rome in 2018, and one was at Gallery Art Moderna, and it was really lovely. I got the cloister of this museum, and I could set up my calligraphic sculptures and create this sort of garden space within. And then the other space was Matatea, which was a contemporary museum, which was dark. It was an abattoir. And, one recreated that installation to fit that. And it was such a wonderful, wonderful experience. And the act of making is also so liberating.
And I was in Florence a few months after your big Rome show, and I
Yeah.
still found ads across Italy. Like there
Oh,
were.
Mary Giano, man. Thank you,
I know,
Paolo
and
de
I felt
Grandes,
so
who was
much
my
pride.
curator.
There's
I love you, Paolo.
So you are known especially, although there's many, many things you do, you're known especially for your sculpting.
Yes,
And there was,
I'm a physical person. I touch. I
I
want
know,
to be touched
I know
very
you want to
badly.
touch. But you also had done at least, to my knowledge, 6 paintings, but there could be more hidden away
Shush,
somewhere.
shush, shush.
No, no, this is a no halls conversation. So talk
Only
about that
Samira knows.
experience with
Miss
painting.
Raja.
Is it coming back?
I was like, who knows what will come? See, that's with my life. Remember, I was supposed to live in America and never be an artist. After that, I've stopped making plans. It's like
I
water,
know.
my life. It will flow where it goes, and you just let it be. And you just, there's a certain submission to it.
There is, I find that when I make plans, all I do is make God laugh. So it's literally, but your jewelry as well is
Oh, I
something
used
that
to make a lot of jewelry. I
I know.
stopped in 2007. I'm in cold Turkey. And I love making jewelry. I love people wearing my work. It was a way of me touching them. I was around the necks, on the ears. I didn't really do it for women. I did it for anybody. I mean, I actually made it for myself. Anything I'd want to wear. And people wore it. And I never took commissions. I kept it very user-friendly for myself. And it was wonderful when it lasted, but then it vanished.
So it comes and goes organically.
You
Um,
let it go where it goes.
so Rima is praising your jewelry.
Oh,
Others are asking for jewelry classes from you, but
I don't give classes. I can't teach anything. I'm too stupid. I mean, you can only teach technique. You can't teach vision. Vision is something you have.
Well, that's just so profound. I had to pause for a
Oh God,
second.
please don't say that. Don't, you're making me
It's so
really
true and it's so obvious that technique you can even learn from YouTube these days. But
Yeah, you can let it. I learned, you know where I learned my technique, Johnny? My parents were totally against me being an artist. So when I first came back, they were like, oh shit, like you've gotten really good grades. Come on, do anything but. And so, there was an area called Jamshed Road, which was in the KDA area, where they would dent cars. And from 12 to 4 o'clock, I could get the cheapest time that I could work with the denters. And that's where I learned my craft, on the streets of Karachi between 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning.
so it's completely hands-on, literally.
Literally hands-on.
And also you were drawn to it, like the meditation. You just showed up doing it on the streets.
Well, I'd done some science fair projects using metal. And again, yes, it just was sort of given to me.
That is all these things in your life that are coming and going, and everything's so fleeting. What does this whole COVID situation feel to you holistically? Because I remember when it started, you told me that even if the whole world is in chaos, I would be soaring and I would be centered, and I found this is a very amazing period like you have. But it's been an overwhelming year.
It has been an overwhelming year, and it is a very difficult year, Uzra, because the 0.01% have gotten unimaginably rich. The billionaires have made so much money during this crisis. And for the poor, whose lives are already difficult, it's gotten so much worse. And already there was this huge divide. And this divide COVID has exacerbated the divide. And there seems to be so much greed in the world, and sometimes I feel like, does everybody feel that they're immortal? Will they take it with them like the pharaohs, the pharaohs? I don't understand it. I really can't get my head around it. I really can't. And, hopefully there'll be some light, inshallah.
It's very humbling seeing what's going on. And we've been doing our food rations, and we've crossed 3,500 families. We're working towards 4,500. And when I was working on the fundraising, I sent a message out to everyone. And one person wrote that if this maid wanted a job, she could get it. She's just lazy. So we wrote back and said, if you wish to hire her, please do so. She'll work for you tomorrow. And she was having difficulty because no one wanted someone who comes back and forth on a bus because of COVID. And the
Sure.
reality is, people just don't know the truth of the pain some people are feeling. The people who drowned in these floods. And you talk about the widening gap between the haves
Yeah,
and
look at the
have-nots.
first world, Usra. Forget Pakistan. Look at the lines for food banks in America. I mean, look at the single women out there, who are trying to support single mothers, and a lot of them work as waitresses because it has flexible timing for them. I mean, it's hard.
It is hard, and you spoke a few minutes ago about some people, do they believe they're immortal? Can they take with them? And you had told me that you wanted to have a moment in this talk where you sort of speak about your parents
Yes,
and what happened, as well
sure.
as, and so please
It's
use
a
that moment
fact.
now.
My parents were murdered in 2007, and my life collapsed, and all I saw was black. And then Benazir was killed 10 days later, and my back collapsed, and I was in unbelievable amounts of pain, and I couldn't move. And I would lie on the carpet, and even to walk a block would take me an hour, and I would hobble, and I would hobble, and everything was just pain. And then, shukr, alhamdulillah, that's where religion fucking kicks in. And I had two shows planned for myself, and they were, and I had to work. I had to hobble to the workshop, and I would hobble there. It would take me an hour to hobble there, and everything was pain. But because the work, and I had to work, it kept me sane and alive.
It kept you sane and alive, but it wasn't a moment in time, because even to this day, you still have this nonstop legal side to it. It's not
Yes,
able to
because
disappear.
after my parents' thing, land grabbers came and took away all our properties. My father had invested all across Pakistan, and land grabbers came and took and there are all these cases, and then somebody claimed to be the only heir, not my brother or stepbrother, but the only heir, and wiped me and my sister off of Nadra. We have a identity card in Pakistan. They wiped us off of it. And I mean, again, this has been addressed, and I've had wonderful lawyers who I'm extremely grateful to. I mean, the only way I can do is go through the court system, and the lawyers I've been associating myself with have been wonderful. And anyway, this is, it is what it is. And, but, my life has gone on. I've been productive, and I've done things, and that's what's truly important. And that's something I owe my parents and myself to continue.
And you do, and you don't just do things, you do extraordinary
No,
things. Like
really,
last,
John.
I must say, my heart always go out, because I loved your mom and dad.
I know
I
that,
love them
sweetie.
from
I
my
know
heart.
that. I know that. I
And,
know that. I know that,
I
little
used to
John.
call Gulgee Uncle my mirrors
Oh,
and
he must have
gold
adored you.
uncle, because he used to
Oh, I
put mirrors and
know.
gold in paintings for me.
Yeah.
And, and your mom was just such an icon. But
She was powerful, bro. I mean, that woman was incredible. She was the first Muslim girl of Bombay. Back then, it was called Bombay, not Mumbai, to get a scholarship to study chemistry in Ohio. So she winds herself up in Ohio, and she meets my father in London. They court, and then they elope in Paris.
and they
It's very
elope.
cheesy.
Remember that, guys. This is a hardcore romance. And what year did she
It's
study in
so
Ohio?
cheesy. It's such a cliche.
It is a cliche, but it's your legacy. It's your.
Yes, yaar.
But what year was it that she went to Ohio? Just to put this in
I don't,
perspective.
I don't
No,
know.
but
I
it
don't
was
know.
a
I
time where
don't know.
no
Like, I
woman
think they
did
got
that.
married in like 62 or something like that. Like,
Yeah, but it was a time where very few women, Muslim
Oh,
women,
she
would
only wore a
show up.
sari. The only thing she knew, I mean, she only took saris with her. She'd worn nothing but a sari.
But just like I've always have such strong memories of your mom wearing saris,
Yes.
and you not looking like an eye banker, like you look, you're shattering
It
our
was right. You've
memories.
always seen me out of the workshop, girl.
Okay, so the next time I
Bursting.
have a party and I say dress formal, you will bring this, not just a Sherwani or something. And so when you um, why don't you talk a bit about some of the other challenges? You talked about so many, and I don't want to regurgitate that, but what are the other unexpected, I don't know, twists and turns your life has taken? You've talked about quite a few, like even just the life you're living, but on your journey.
Oh my gosh, Usra. I mean, when I started, I remember with the Imam, and he wasn't giving me a show because way back then, I'm a dinosaur. You're talking about the early 90s. Nobody would show sculpture. And Imam Saab had the only gallery in Karachi. And he's sort of our first major gallerist of Pakistan, Ali Imam. And I remember going to him and pleading with him, Imam Saab, please give me a show. Please give me a show. For 6 months, I was like, I was on him. I can be a little intense. And I begged, I pleaded, and I got myself my first show. And even in my gallery space, it was to open it up for installation and performance and all of the stuff that, we don't have museums in Pakistan, unfortunately, or we don't have so many museums of modern and contemporary work. So the whole idea was to open up spaces so all this fresh energy can come in and sort of like interact, and you can have interaction, and it will be this sort of cesspool of spawning ideas and energies. And because there's a tremendous energy in the city I live in, the horrible, terrible, great city of Karachi. It's an ugly, godforsaken place, but it breathes. There's a throb to it. There's an energy. There's a pulse that goes boom, 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 boom. And one thing to hand it to the artist community, they're always there to come forward. There's such a great need to express yourself. And it's wonderful to tap into that energy.
This energy, this boom boom, it's so palpable in Karachi. It's a city of resilience, it's a city of alchemy.
We are the cockroaches of Pakistan. We'll survive nuclear war.
Cockroaches have their own role as well. Don't knock them. They're not.
Oh, no.
As long as someone else comes and shoos them out of my way because I'm screaming, then, it's one of those things. But, there's something deeper there. There's some purpose. I remember in this entire journey of our friendship, you have always consistently, maybe with your art history background, maybe with your father's legacy, you have always been, as well as positioned yourself as a representation of the nation.
That I don't know. No.
No. Amin Gulgee Gallery is meant to be that, No, I'm saying, and I'm so proud and inspired by that. Because I'm not saying it in an arrogant way. You know me. I'm not saying it.
Because I only do things. I'm extremely a selfish human being, Uzra. I will only do things for myself, and things that matter to me.
I know, but what I mean is you're documenting your life as you are for future generations and the community of art, but also you've created spaces and represent the nation. Like Amin Gulgee Gallery has now a series of exhibitions and catalogs that are part
They're just experiments. They're innocent, crazy, out there experiments where I get, for some reason, I can find other insane people around me. I've got this great gift for finding insanity and genius and and just to bring it together in this chemical,
I know, but there's still like this beautiful formality behind the scenes, like your hidden perfectionism, your hidden neurosis. This is belonging to the legacy of Gulgee now, Amin Gulgee. And when you had your sculpture at United Nations, it was a moment of so much pride for us, so much pride.
Well, I was so grateful. I was so grateful to Malia Lodi, who really pushed this piece and made sure it was installed well. And she really worked hard over that, and I'm extremely grateful to her for that. And I was really happy to see my piece out there. It really, as an artist, I was so grateful because, again, anything that comes from me is done for me, Uzra. I don't do anything for anybody else. It has to be my own shit for my shit. It's my shit.
While you say that, your piece does represent our nation while representing you. And while you say that, so many times you've held my hand or guided me or, in a way, encourage is probably more accurate. My craziness and my crazy
Uzra,
ideas.
you're a force of nature, girl. I know you. You
But
really
you
are, and
encourage a force
that's
of
so brilliant
nature.
because the, f- the the future of our nation does not rest in the hands of men; it rests in women. I mean, they're the ones who will change things. And even in my generation, it's always been the women who've broken the mold. The men just fall into their roles and are the good little boys, but it's the women who are the courageous ones.
No, for sure. And it is men and women side by side, like we're side by side
Well,
right now,
yeah.
that really, really are necessary. I don't ever believe it's one or the other.
Well, I think
But
it's the women, Udra. I think there's nothing more powerful than a Pakistani woman because they've had to deal with so much. And the ones that emerge are truly powerful.
I agree that Pakistani women are powerful, but I'll say that I'm very proud of our men, including you as well. What does
Really?
success mean to you? I know you talk about things being
Oh,
spiritual.
God, success. There's nothing like success, Johnny. There's only to be happy and to be centered, and to be free as an artist. And I feel really, 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 truly, truly grateful to the powers that be that, whatever I've done, it's for me, whether I'm making a small pair of earrings or a 20-foot high sculpture, it's something for me that I completely own. And, I hate the word saying, but anyway, uh, making sculpture is so isolated. That's why I like co-curating with people because you're with somebody like Sarah, who, and then there's a dialogue in co-curating and working with artists that you break out of your isolation and you sort of like experience other points of view. Because for my object making, that's me, I'm very territorial.
And you're also in a total zone.
Yes.
And you're very disciplined about it. Talk about your discipline. You wake up
Yes.
every day the same time. You start the same way. You're very particular with the people who work with you. Talk about that. I'm not going to
Okay,
talk
I'm a
about you.
fascist. I'm horrible to work with. You can call up any of my ex-curators. They'll cry to you. No, I'm yes, I'm really structured. I make structure. That's why I love books. They have structure. And structure is really important to me. Breaking once you know structure, you can break it.
Well, of course, that once you know the rules, you can break them. We all know
Yeah.
that. But there's more to the sculpture than structure. There's also the vision you spoke about. There's also a journey because your sculptures have evolved over the years. Can you
Yes.
talk about like the first sculpture you actually made? I'm not talking about on the streets of, like, talk about.
Johnny, I get, but it's a story. They're threads, and you pick up the threads and you push them along, and it's always a surprise. That's why one does this stupid stuff. That it's a surprise. I'm led by my work. I don't need my work. It takes me wherever it goes. And if the world loves it, I'm really grateful. If the world doesn't, I will understand, and you still keep on doing what you do.
Okay, so I get
It's their
how it's.
folk way of doing things. Walnut, small brain, hard encased in a hard shell.
I get how it's your journey, but that means that when you do a piece of sculpture, you don't have the vision in your head of what it's going to end
Sometimes
up.
you do. It's really fluid. I don't sketch or draw anything. So it's with
No,
you 24/7. No, I don't sketch anything. So it's with you. I mean, everything is like problem solving. And a lot of times pieces don't come through when you're in the process of making objects. And a lot of times they go into my storage room. My storage room is as large as mine. And I'm very easy. No, it's just not happening. And sometimes many years later, you dig it out of the storage room and it'll make sense. So each piece has its own timetable, its own trajectory, the way it forms. Sometimes you have a real vision in your head. Sometimes that vision changes. Sometimes you don't have a vision in your head, and you keep yourself legs wide open.
So it's always different in its own way.
Yes. And it's always there's that element of surprise. And sometimes an accident is the best thing you've done all month. And sometimes nothing happens. And sometimes everything happens.
So you used the word freedom earlier,
Yeah.
and then you use the word surprise now.
Yes.
And can you talk a bit about what freedom means to you? Because I love freedom, but you
Yes.
also have great grounding in your life, both in your discipline, your structure, in your core relationships that have lasted for decades and
I'm
lifetimes.
super old.
And so, no, but I'm saying you have this incredible support system.
I love Audra. I'm lucky. I get loved, and I'm so grateful. People, I know I can feel the love, and I'm loved. In my awkward way, I'm loved. You can always tell when someone loves you.
And we do. The love is very, very sincere. It's very real. But you also love back. It's a two-way street. You're a very good friend. Like you talk about things that I've said to you that have been very meaningful for you, and you always remind me, and you always remember them, which means a lot to me.
How
But you
could I
have
not?
said life-changing things to me. I remember one year you threw a birthday party for me. Do you remember that?
Yes, I
A
do.
huge party at your
Yes,
space with everybody in town. And you told me, and I'm sharing this with everyone because it reflects how beautiful your soul is. You
comedy.
told me that with every single year, I will get more beautiful.
But you
And,
will. That's
and
not being nice. That's bone structure.
I know, but still hearing
Um,
that on my
Honey,
birthday is,
it's just the way you've been manufactured.
but
You
still,
know,
I mean, the thoughtfulness, the
and you didn't
caring to
even do
say,
it. Your parents or your
the
people, Audra.
thoughtfulness, the caring with which you
I mean,
say
going
that,
to great law school, where did you go, Harvard or something? That's you.
that's
Setting
because
up
I'm your
ladies' club,
competitor
that's
that way,
you.
Mr. Yaley.
That's you. The rest, okay.
But I also want to say and share with others another beautiful statement you've said to me because it again reflects your beautiful soul. On my brother's wedding day, when you came to dance,
I said,
and you
don't get
came
married.
early,
Yeah.
and you refused to eat anything until you completed your dance because I said, everybody eat first, we're going to serve food and then dance.
You can dance, Audra,
I know,
Johnny.
but do you know you said to me? You said to me, you arrived and you said to me, today I'm your slave.
I'm your slave
Anything and
girl.
everything you want today, I'm yours. You don't know what those kind of phrases do to
Oh,
my
really,
heart.
John.
I
Really,
mean,
John.
the friendship and the love is real because of it's organic, it's in both ways, but also you're an amazing friend. Your
Thank
sincerity,
you.
your
Thank you.
caring, it's so, so, so real, so sincere, so you. And I think people like they don't know your neurosis, which I love about you, but they also don't know just what a beautiful soul you are. And what do you make of this time in our life where everything is sort of on hold, or not on hold, but
Nothing is on hold,
but it's
Audra.
evolving in a different way?
We have
And
just changed.
did you just
The
roll
world
with
has
the
changed.
punches, or what do you think is going to be at the end of this? Because we're all isolated, yet we're all isolated together, and then we have social media as
We,
a gift, and we have the ability to talk like this, even though, by the way,
right,
we live actually next door, literally
right.
next
We are
door, but
neighbors.
we're
Yes,
talking on virtual means.
yes,
What is it holistically do you feel? You've read your Camus, so now you are
right.
totally educated on this topic.
What does this mean? Who knows? We will all find out, Israel. We'll all find out, but the world has changed. And
What does that mean? What does that mean?
we're going to find out. We're going to find out. I think there's a polarization that is happening now, which is sad, to take a word from Mr. Trump. Sad. There's great polarization between the right and the left. And we will find out.
So, it's something that is exciting yet scary at the same time because the future is unknown in that way.
Well, the future is
And
always unknown, right?
and
It just
Abby,
has all these dramas of the virus. And don't forget the AIDS virus,
yes.
that people were dying. I mean, I'm an AIDS child. I mean, in school, I graduated in the late 80s when AIDS was rampant and there was no medication for it. And people were dying all around you. And since it didn't affect the mainstream, nobody really cared. And with this virus, it affects everybody. So people are worried.
It's
And back then, it was a death sentence.
it was a what?
Death sentence.
Death sentence, of course.
There was no medication. Medication wasn't really evolved, and it was a death sentence.
No, it's definitely not the
These are
first.
really happy topics as well.
No, 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 we'll go happy. So, what's your advice for budding artists?
Believe. Be in a throat. Be hard-headed. Be a small walnut. Just believe. Have faith. Go on in what you do. I mean, there's a lot of pressure from all sides, from the marketplace, from the north, from what curators expect from you when you're a young artist. I can understand it. A lot of sort of works that are encouraged by the north. But whatever the pressures are, keep a soul intact, believe, and go forth. And inshallah, you will multiply, at least through your work.
And what do you do or feel or think or recommend in those moments when you feel you can't move ahead? I'm sure you've had those
Oh,
blank
yeah.
spaces.
I read. I go into another narrative. I'm easy. I'm an escapist. I just read. I just pick up a book and I'll fall right into it.
And I mean, very often you quote passages or a phrase from different books and you put them up
Yes.
in your social media. And very often they're quite romantic phrases you travel
Oh,
to.
love me, say that you love me.
I remember
Oh,
a time where you went through a phase of making a series of sculptures, a collection, a capsule, where you listened to Culture Club the
oh,
entire
that's
time.
right.
Do you
That was
remember that?
Sharma. Yes.
So, do you always have like a different music or background or
No, I
theme
just
or?
have noise. I mean, making sculpture is not, especially metalwork, bronze and copper. It's cacophonous. And what I do is I just have, the radio station, usually it's FM 89, blasting with everything else. And I've got four guys, and they know me so well. Everybody's been with me for years, so it's just hand signals and language. We don't really talk. Talking is not encouraged. I'm a fascist. And everybody's connected. We all have to be connected.
So, Maliha Bimji is now writing that it's about time we see more of your sculptures across our country, not just one,
Inshallah.
but in different spaces, as that it will be good for the nation. She's just
Oh, that's
talking
really
about
kind
our
of you.
nation's needs,
Thank
and of
you,
course,
thank you,
all
thank
over
you.
the world. What is a question that you wish people asked about you? It now comes out.
Don't ask, just touch.
No, no, you said no holes. The floor is yours for this one.
Yeah, you know, you don't need questions, you don't need words, you just need a look in the eyes. You can feel people, Uzra, if you just allow yourself. People can feel you. Again, this Osberger thing, it's something I've had to overcome, and that's how I get around it. You just feel an energy from the people. It's not what they're saying, or I hardly remember who does what, unless they're intellectuals, then I remember, but otherwise they're Karachi business person. You know, um, and you just communicate with that energy. You just tap into that. Like, I mean, anybody I've met, it's almost accidental, and then they continue in your life.
That's a very beautiful, insightful way of looking at it because I believe
Is
there's
it?
colors around people, they have auras. And
Well,
in them, I do believe in the auras around people. Yes, I'm a
Tell.
little unicorn
What's
honey
my
just like
color, Ultra?
your
Pink.
Your
red.
color changes according to your mood, my friend, but it's always one that I
I'm
love
the
being
rainbow
around.
girl.
Yeah, you have many places and colors. Aren't you a rainbow, my friend? But I believe that the aura
Judy.
is palpable. It's totally palpable. But on that note, we had
Hmm.
finished our show. So
Oh,
is there anything you want to say to all these fans who are sitting here saying,
oh, thank you so much for listening in. Thank you all because, for enduring me. And thank you so much, Uzra. I mean, talking to you, this is kind of strange for me because these are the kind of conversations we have once in a while, these long form conversations. And it's public, but it felt
no, but
really
it's
private.
censored,
But it
don't
felt
worry.
private to me. It felt private to me. So thank you, Uzra.
Thank you. I'm greatly honored to have you on
And I'm
TUDAV
so
Talks.
proud of you, Uzra. Rock on, Uzra. Rock on.
I'm proud of you too, and may you have the most amazing event in the next few days. I can't
Inshallah.
wait for your latest
Hey,
catalogs.
yes, I want to plug. Please join in for the webinar. It will be interesting. We have these incredibly out of the box intellectuals. Really, trust me. If you think
I
I'm
don't have a
strange,
doubt.
wait till you hear them. Like join me, Sarah, and Adam for a webinar, and please join us.
So we will definitely, everyone watching, watch Amin, Sarah, and Adam's webinar. And thank you so much for being here today. First, we're going to say bye-bye to Amin. And then I'll say
Hafiz,
goodbye to
Allah
you
Hafiz.
all. It's a little game that Facebook plays to say there's a teaser of Amin back and forth. But I just want to thank you all for tuning in today. It was an amazing journey. First, we interviewed Shalom of Fusion, our very own rock star, and then Florence, our hostess with the mostest, the founder of Cafe Flow, and now we have Amin, and all three are people I really love and care about, and who are the pride of Pakistan, but also really beautiful souls. And as we went through the journey today, I'm sure you could see that there was so much to the man Amin, not just the sculpture, but the man. And you could feel his aura like I always do, and it's a beautiful aura we're blessed to have on this earth. So thank you for joining, and have a brilliant rest of your day. Bye.